What's up, guys? Welcome to the Next Wave Bears podcast. I'm Deeks View. Um, got Rashab here with me to Windy City Productions, and we're also joined by Dave. Today, we're gonna do a little Q&A. We asked you guys on Twitter to ask us some questions, and we have some answers. So, honestly, we're just gonna jump right into it. No, really, nothing to waste. If you guys didn't check out our last episode, we talked about OTAs, kind of ran through everything that was going on there. Um, First question we got from GSH Enjoyer. He said, other than Justin, who do you think progresses the most this upcoming season? Dave?
Yeah, so that's fun. I'm gonna go Cole Kmet, and I think he had a great season last year. But he's one of my favorite players on this roster. But I just think his projection, he just keeps getting better as a player. And tight ends always take some time. And I think last year you could say it was this, arrival, coming out party. But I really think just with the weapons around this entire roster, and you add in Tunyon, I think he's going to have such a great year. And I think that extension could come before, but if it doesn't, I think he's going to get extended. And I think he takes a hometown discount too. He's a Bear, grew up in Chicago area. So we'll see. But I think I'll go with Cole Kmet. What about y'all?
I'm going to go with Jaquan Brisker. Jaquan Brisker was already pretty good in year one. He had a pretty decent, I would say, like first 7-8 games of the season. After that, he kind of hit the rookie wall and missed some tackles and all that. So I think in year two, though, with the full offseason, with him being a playmaker, with him being behind a better defensive line now, so we're probably going to see him having more opportunities to intercept the ball, make more plays on the ball. So I'm going to go with Jaquan Brisker 100%.
That's a great one.
Word, yeah. I'm going to go, I think, one of the most important for Justin Fields' development, and that is Braxton Jones, man. I think one of his biggest issues last season was he didn't have a strong enough anchor to, set down and handle bull rushes. Well, this is his first NFL offseason. He's had months to train and add weight and get stronger and, strengthen that lower base. I think I'm not going to say he's going to jump up and be a top 10 left tackle, but I think he's going to take a substantial leap that makes you, not worry about the future of the left tackle. Definitely all good ones there. This one from AJ Davis. How will the O-line do in pass pro this season? I'll go first on that. Honestly, I mean, I hope better than last year. That's a cliche answer, but what? Justin got sacked 55 times. I'm not really sure a good benchmark, but I mean, if he's going to get sacked, I'd like it to not really affect the game. I'd like to, one or two, a few game, every game. It's the NFL. We're not going to have the Philadelphia Eagles line, but I think it should be middle of the pack. I'd say middle of the pack in the NFL.
I agree. I mean, I think that 15, 16 ranking, maybe even 17th ranking would be much better than what we had last year. We do have some young guys on the offensive line, like Tevin Jenkins, still somewhat young. We're going to have a rookie starting at right tackle, which rookies generally do not perform really well in year one. So I don't want to put like too high expectations on Darnell Wright, but like kind of we said in other episodes, like we are super high on Darnell Wright. I think he did prove it against really good competition against Alabama, against really good SEC teams. So Darnell Wright could be, pretty decent year one. He's probably not going to be a superstar year one, but aside from that, Braxton Jones taking a step up. Hopefully in year two, we got Cody Whitehair at center, who I'm not the highest on right now because he hasn't played center in like a long time. So there's definitely some question marks for sure, but I do think it can be like middle of the pack, like you said, which should be still good enough to have a good offense next year because we do have, so many weapons now on this offense.
Yeah, I kind of agree with both of you guys, to be honest. And then with the weapons that Justin has in the year three, he's going to be getting the ball out quicker. You would think, especially that's what they're kind of working on. They're emphasizing that already. And so, with that being said, the offensive line doesn't have to be top 10. Like you said, middle of the pack. And the way that if he's getting the ball out faster, to his guys, his playmakers, I think they'll be fine. And then Justin, he's elusive too. So even if there's some plays where they're not, it might break down. He could take it 60. You never know. So if they could just be middle of the pack, I think we're good.
Cool. So we got Bear Season asks, game you're most excited to see this upcoming season and why? You want to kick us off, Rashad?
Yeah, sure. I'm going to go with Bears versus Chargers on Sunday Night Football. I mean, that's going to be Justin Herbert versus Justin Fields. It's going to be Khalil Mack coming. Well, that's in Los Angeles. He's not going to be coming back to Chicago, but it's going to be facing off against us after we traded him. There's so many exciting players on both sides. I'm going to be going with that game. I think it should be pretty entertaining because also the Chargers also have, they always have something crazy going on during their primetime matchups, like some crazy ending or some wacky stuff going on. So it's going to be a pretty entertaining game. It's two really talented quarterbacks. So I'm going to go with that one.
Cool. Yeah. Well, for me, hands down, it's week one. Week one, Jordan Love's first game as the guy. First game with all the Bears' new pieces. We know what happened week one against them with the bad man and Khalil Mack's first game. I think we have a lot of wrongs to right. I think we have to punch them in the mouth early and often. And I'm going to be there. I just can't wait to be in that atmosphere. I think Bears Nation is just going to be crazy. I think that's a early. It kind of sucks because it is, week one where later in the season it doesn't really matter as much. But as far as setting off this new era of the division, really, I think week one is the one I'm looking forward to the most.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I was going to go with week one as well, but I like the matchup against Kansas City, in Arrowhead. It could be a fun one. You're not expected to win this one. The players obviously want to win every game, but I mean, expectations are going to be kind of low going into it. So could the
Right.
Bears go in there and sneak one? That would be insane. Just a crazy, especially if, say they win week one, right? Get some momentum and you somehow sneak out because you're catching Kansas City early. Sometimes they could be vulnerable at that time. And so it'll be interesting. So I'm excited for that one because you get to see where you really match up against, the best. So
Cool. Yeah, those are all going to be pretty electric games. I think we have some big matchups on our schedule this year. We got Bojack pick. Which Bear will have a bounce back season? Um, Bounce back. I guess who? Oh, I got one. Hopefully, Travis Gibson. We
Yeah.
had high expectations for him last season, and he didn't really show up. But I'm not going to put that all on him because he went from having Khalil Mack, Akeem Hicks, Robert Quinn. I mean, he went from being a rotational guy who got to come in with fresh legs against a beat up offense to being the starter. So I think this is his first full NFL offseason coming into the season with the expectations of being that guy. So I'd really like to see him maybe not take off into a superstar, but at least be a really impactful edge. Maybe like a Roy, who was his name? Roy Robertson that we had a few years ago or something like that.
Harris.
Yeah.
Yeah, Harris, like
Yeah.
just one of
I
those
like him.
guys who can really be a spark and get a few sacks this season.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of because most of the bad players from last year we
Oh, God.
replaced, so they're not on
Yeah.
the team anymore. So I might say Darnell Mooney though, because even though I'd say he had like a decent last year. He wasn't like amazing or anything, but he was our best weapon on the offense by far, obviously. But he obviously suffered that injury, which kept him out for the last 6 or 7 weeks of the season. A pretty bad injury suffered, so I'm not sure if he's going to be ready at the beginning of the season. I think he will be, according to what I've read. But he's not in OTAs right now, so that kind of sucks. But having Mooney back here, as a number two option where he won't have to be a number one, he's going to have DJ Moore next to him, Chase Claypool as well. He's the only guy that has any sort of chemistry with Justin Fields, right? Like he's the only, guy that Justin Fields has been able to rely on. So I think Mooney could have another, 800, 900, maybe 1,000 yard season if Justin Fields, breaks out as a passer. If Justin Fields does have like, 3,500, like 4,000 passing yards, then obviously you're going to have to divide those yards up between a bunch of different receivers. And Mooney could have 1K plus yards, which it's a lofty goal right now, but I think it's going to be Mooney because I love this guy. He's been very reliable for us the last few years, and Bears Twitter has been hating on him super hard ever since getting Tyler Scott and getting DJ Moore as well. But don't sleep on Darnell Mooney.
Man, I like Mooney. I kind of have a sneaky one, but I was going to go with Lucas Patrick because he was injured last year. I think he could really have, not that he might not even start, but he could just be a really solid player. Comes in, say, like someone gets hurt, he misses a game or two, he comes in and you don't miss a beat. And I think that's important, especially with the depth. But I want to go with Chase Claypool. I'm going to go stick with the receiver room because my goodness, like I don't talk about it much because it's kind of a toxic, as far as like, oh, the Bears did trade, the 32nd overall pick. And at the same time, he didn't get to do a lot last year. He was learning a whole new system. Pittsburgh traded him. So I think as far as like having a chip on his shoulder, he already knows the offense a lot better. Justin's already talked about it. I think Flus has as well. And I think Claypool could, that whole receiving room, those top three guys, I think are just going to have really big years. And I think Claypool could, I wouldn't be shocked if he's up there with DJ Moore, honestly, in regards to production, because I really am high on him. But of course, he has to prove it. And I think when you go back to, when the Bears drafted Komet, I really kind of wanted Claypool. I'm not even lying. I was I wanted him. And now that he's a Bear, it's kind of funny. And then his rookie season was spectacular. So that's who I'm going to go with. But again, I think Lucas Patrick could also be such a great like resource for this team as far as like depth and just coming in if someone does miss some time. So
okay, yeah. So I got two of these. They're kind of the same, so I'm going to bundle them up. Daniel M Rose. He says, "Who's poised to have a breakout year and who's going to have a down year?" I don't want to speculate who's going to have a down year because we don't want anybody to have a down year. But then Zach. My boy Zach says, what's one Bears player that people are sleeping on and why could they turn into a key piece for the team's success? This one's, kind of similar to the one we just answered, but not quite. This one, I talked about it on the last episode, but hopefully Andrew Billings. I think if we can get that key guy in the middle who is going to keep the line off of the linebackers, who's going to stuff the run, who's going to be a force on the line and make everybody else's lives easier around him. I think he can be a Bear for multiple years. I mean, he's only headed into a sixth season, so he still has plenty left in the tank. That's somebody who I, wouldn't be surprised if he shocked a lot of people this season.
Yeah, I want to say Demarcus Walker. Even though we're paying this guy a lot of money, like he is getting paid 8-9 million per year. I feel like a lot of people are not talking about him enough because we are looking for other edge rushers still on the open market. I'm trying to sign other guys too, but Demarcus Walker had like 7.5 sacks last year. Playing obviously with the good Tennessee defensive line, but still like that would rank as number one on the Bears defensive line from last year. So we're getting a guy in here that at least has some level of production in the NFL, which you cannot say about other guys on this defensive line. So his energy also is super good. I mean, if you guys have seen his press conferences, like he's super pumped up about the Bears and being on the Bears in Chicago and all that. So I think Demarcus Walker could have another, maybe 7-8+ sack season, which would be really good, for a struggling Bears defensive line from last year.
So what's one guy that we're sleeping on that could be a key to our success? Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
It's interesting. So, I mean, I don't want to pick a linebacker, because Edmonds, I don't think people are sleeping on him. I do like Edwards, but again, linebacker position, I think maybe Cody Whitehair because, he is at center and maybe it's not a flashy, thing, but he was really good. Like I thought he was very, very solid. And the offensive line as a whole is going to be very young next year. And so with him being older, having that vet presence on the line, especially at the center position, I think, and then also with what we had to deal with the last 2 years with Mustafa, and I'm not taking shots at the guy, but it wasn't great. And so with the consistency and Justin being able to trust, hey, I have my guy, here he's very intelligent. He's also going to be a vet presence on that line. Like I said, I think he could be a sneaky just for that entire line, that unit, especially if he can stay healthy. I think that will be a huge impact just, with Justin being able to trust and know, hey, I'm not going to have a guy, back here within, 2 seconds, or not 2 seconds, like half a second, like last year. So I think again, I like TJ Edwards a lot, but I'm going to go with Cody Whitehair as far as like sleeping because I don't see a lot of people talk about that, as far as the line goes. So
yeah, definitely. We got Eric Brooks. I'm just going to answer this one. He says, "Will Doug Kramer push Cody at the center position? Haven't heard his name much, or all I know is coming off of injury. Right now, no. It looks like Cody's going to be the starter. Lucas Patrick is going to be the backup. Kramer would really have to just blow everybody away in camp. He'd just have to, I don't know, just be light years away ahead of what he was. Right now, I think he's just going to be a practice squad guy.
Did you guys see that picture of how, I don't know how tall he is, but he looked tiny compared to like Jenkins, Whitehair, or Kramer. What is he?
Yeah, Kramer.
Yeah, Kramer.
That was one of the things when he got drafted was how small he was. Like that was part
he
of
looks
his draft profile.
Yeah, I was shocked. I just could not believe how small he was compared to the rest of the line.
And another thing, I think Ryan Poles was talking about it is just how big our line is. Like, remember, Tevin Jenkins is a right tackle who's moved to guard, so we do have a very big line. And then Kramer being a small guy, just it makes him look even more small.
Yeah.
um, this one's interesting. Which Bears do you? I think two people asked this. Um, Peter asked what Bears are Pro Bowl and who is wide receiver two, and then Jay Bird asked which Bears do you see making Pro Bowl or being an All Pro this year, if any. We can just kind of do a rapid answers for this, but wide receiver two, that's actually a good question between Claypool or Mooney. I think it's going to be Mooney. Justin Fields just has that connection with him. And as far as Pro Bowl, All Pro, I don't know about All Pro. Um, it is kind of politics, but Pro Bowl is more of a publicity contest. I think Justin Fields might be able to squeeze in there. I think DJ Moore might be able to squeeze in there with Justin Fields thrown to him. I think the running back room is too crowded. Um, Defensively, it's hard to tell right now. It really is hard to tell. But I'd like to see Jaquan Brisker take the jump and be Pro Bowl safety.
Yeah, adding to your list, I'm not gonna, talk about it too much again, repeat what you said, but Eddie Jackson, dude. I mean, coming off the injury, obviously a very bad injury he suffered as well, but he was like balling in Eberflus's new system, and he's going to be behind a better defensive line now. Better players by him, and he's a household name too. Like a lot of people know who Eddie Jackson is, which is pretty important for Pro Bowl voting. So I'm gonna go with Eddie Jackson as well on the defense.
Yeah, wide receiver two is Mooney all the way. You nailed it. Connection or the chemistry with Fields is there. Also, Mooney, like I said, people are sleeping on him. I don't know why. He's a very good receiver. Is he a number one? Probably not, but a very very solid number two. And you could have that with Claypool as well, which is just very fun to think about. But as far as the defensive side of the ball, I think Edmonds and I think All Pro possibly. In my opinion, I think he's young. He, just got the kind. I think I'm very excited about him. I'm very excited to see him in training camp because, like you said, he's very, very tall. He's just big. He's so fast. He's like Justin Fields, but on the defense. As far as like,
Yeah.
actually, I think he's bigger than Justin too. So it's just, I think he has the potential at least for Pro Bowl, and then I think he could be one of the guys we're talking about as far as like maybe an All Pro snub because it is kind of politics. But if the Bears are having a sneaky good year, he could be one of the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree with that one a little bit. It'd be cool if he could crack All Pro, especially it'd be interesting the way that they kind of snubbed Roquan every single year, and then the second we
Yeah.
traded him to Baltimore, they gave him all of the honors as if he's a brand new player. But no, that's definitely excited to see him play. Last one here. Name cannot be blank. With JJ, Komet, Darnell, and Claypool all on contract years, who do you think is on the team next year? Again, I do want to preface this by saying I would like to see all of them on the team next year. But just answering the question, my candid response. Um, Komet's a lock. I don't even think that's a question. Komet's a lock. Darnell said that they want to see him run first. Um, he has to heal from his injury, and then they'll go from there. I'm not sure how he will want a contract, but I like the chances of Darnell being back. The other two, I'd love to have him back, but I genuinely don't think Jalen John. I think this is Jalen's last year as a Chicago Bear. I kind of felt the same way with Montgomery last year, even though I loved Montgomery. The writing felt like it was on the wall. They didn't draft him. He doesn't actually fit their profile. He's not super fast. He doesn't get interceptions. He is a good player, but I just don't think he's a fit. And I think he's going to want more than Poles is willing to give him. And then Claypool. Honestly, I don't know. We're gonna have to see how he plays, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't here. A lot of people, Ryan Poles is gonna take a lot of heat if he lets him go after parting with that draft pick. But if with there's only one football on the field, so if he can't demand the ball and be that guy that a jump ball guy that Fields can lean on or something, whatever the case may be. Um, I don't think Ryan Poles is emotionally attached to anyone to, not walk away from them just because he gave up assets to get them.
Yeah, I agree. I think that Komet and Mooney are the only locks, and even Mooney is not a lock to be on the team next year because, like you said, they want to see him run. They want to see if he can be, better in the system than he was last year. So, yeah, I mean, Komet is going to be re-signed, I think, because you don't really have any other better option at tight end, even in the draft next year. Like, unless you get Brock Bowers in the draft, which would be pretty nice, you're not going to have a better guy than Cole Komet right now. So,
Yeah,
I would like to see JJ coming back, though. I think that, even though, like you said, like he's probably not the best scheme fit, and we did draft a lot of cornerbacks too, but like we haven't seen Kyler Gordon be as good as Jalen Johnson so far. Park Stevenson is a rookie. Charles Smith also is a rookie. So there's a lot of projection going on right now on all those rookies, which I don't want to be pessimistic and say they're not going to develop. But I think Jalen Johnson is the only sure thing we have in the secondary right now at cornerback where you would want to re-sign him. But like you said, like if he's asking for too much money or if he gets injured again, which he gets injured basically every single year, then you might not want to re-sign him. So I hope all the Bears are back, like you said, but I think only one or two are locks to be re-signed.
yeah. I think you're muted.
My bad. So I think it's interesting because if everyone comes back, that means they probably had a very, very good season or very good year.
Yeah,
Because that's the only reason I think you try to get everyone back. JJ, his lack of ball production, like you said, is a big concern, especially with Flus. Kind of, he kind of covets that. So, but if everyone's back, that's gonna be tough because that means Justin Fields did his job and he probably is going to be extended, and that's going to be a lot of money as well. And so with Poles and how he operates, I think he's very diligent. I think with Tyler Scott, you could see that as a Mooney replacement. Stevenson as well with Jalen Johnson potentially. So I don't think there's a really possibility that all of them are coming back. But I think Komet is probably the only lock, probably just because of several different reasons and factors. Mooney, kind of a lot of question marks. But I wouldn't mind seeing Jalen Johnson come back. I know we're talking kind of it's kind of disappointing him not being at camp. But you look at his numbers; he is very, very solid. He's reliable. He takes, he played Justin Jefferson last year. Yeah, Justin Jefferson is going to get his right. But the fact that I think that one first half last year, I forgot what week it was, but he kind of was locking him up a little bit, and that's hard to do. And then, of course, in the second half, the Vikings kind of made adjustments, and you're gonna get beat sometimes. So, but with Jalen Johnson, I like his numbers. I think he's a very solid corner, and I would love to see him and at least Komet back. As far as Claypool and Mooney, they're going to have to battle it out. They're going to have to show why. And I think Mooney kind of has that edge right now. And as far as the pick given up to get Claypool, the best thing about our GM now, and I love Pace for taking swings. Poles is not. He won't. He's not. He's willing to kind of, hey, I messed up, or hey, he just takes ownership and he won't make that mistake again, and he won't double down on it if it is bad for the Bears as a franchise. So interesting, but maybe one or two. I would be shocked if at least three out of four are back. So
yeah, absolutely. I loved what you said at the end about Ryan Poles. I mean, I 1000% agree. If he makes a mistake, he's gonna own it, and he's not gonna try to hold on to it for another however many years.
yeah,
Dave, thank you
push it
so
down.
much for joining us. It's been a pleasure to have you. We definitely got to get you on
Absolutely.
more often. You know, uh, tell them where they can find you
Yeah,
at what you
yeah.
do, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, you can just follow me on Twitter, Dave_BFR. We have our own podcast as well, just the BFR podcast. But I'd love to be on. I appreciate you guys just inviting me. It was fun, and I'm sure I'll be back. So
Yeah, absolutely. Rashad,
Yeah, you can follow me at DWC Prods on Twitter or the Windy City Productions on YouTube. I'll be making more hype videos pretty soon for the next upcoming season. So yeah, subscribe
love
if you guys
those.
want to. Appreciate
de-
you.
definitely can't wait. We'll probably have some few hype videos of myself as well.
Heck yeah.
I'm Deeks View. You follow me on Twitter at Deeks View OG. That's where I'm the most active. You can interact with me. I try to respond to everybody I can. Other than that, just subscribe, tune in. We're gonna be dropping so much more content. Really pumping out my own breakdowns on this channel as well. I just dropped one 2 days ago, so tune in for that. So next time, thanks y'all for joining. Bear down.